have advanced notice of and the attended meetings of public bodies in which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of the Act, the Sussex-Wantage Regional School District Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted in the school building, and notice of said meeting sent to the New Jersey Herald and the Star Ledger.
Sussex-Wantage Regional School District is a responsive, caring, child-centered community. Our mission is to educate each individual to become a confident, lifelong learner, and productive, responsible citizen, by providing challenging opportunities in a safe environment through the partnership of families, schools, and communities.
This time we move on to the superintendent report of the superintendent of schools.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'd like to invite Mr. Schwartz up, Sussex Middle School principal, to present the Students of the Month for both December and January.
Good evening, Mr. Gall, Mr. D'Agostino, members of our Board of Education, and members of our audience tonight. While our circumstances continue to be anything but normal, our students continue to impress us with their determination, grit, ability, and achievements. Before I begin tonight, I would like to acknowledge the hard work and courage of all of our students, teachers, and parents. It takes patience, flexibility, organization, and a variety of other skill sets to ensure that each child is successful. I would like to thank the entire SMS community for all that they have done for our students. Tonight, I will recognize the December and January Student of the Month from each grade level. These students have gone above and beyond this year and deserve high praise for their achievements and growth. The 6th grade Student of the Month for December is Michael Roman. Michael is a young man that approaches every day and every class eager to learn. His positive attitude and team approach makes him a model student for his classmates. He is someone that they look up to. Michael excelled in all of his classes during the first and second learning periods. Michael's teacher stated the following: for 6th grade, we would like to nominate Michael Roman. He's a very hardworking, responsible, and respectful young man who strives to excel in his academics. Michael is also extremely helpful and supportive to his classmates. He volunteers to assist anyone in need and provides words of encouragement as well. His positive attitude and kind nature are much appreciated by all. Please join me in congratulating Michael Roman as a 6th grade student. The 6th grade Student of the Month for January is Elizabeth Moylan. As a virtual learner, Elizabeth has been a shining star. She provides real-time feedback to all of her teachers and is a pleasure to have in any Google Meet. She did an outstanding job during the first marking period and is doing even better this marking period. Elizabeth's teacher stated the following: She has been an incredible student in the time that we have got to know her. She is engaged in her learning and takes responsibility as a student very seriously. She has been doing well academically, handing in her work on time and helping her classmates through the virtual realm. She is eager to please and can often be found helping her teachers or classmates. We look forward to seeing how she matures and progresses throughout the year. Please join me in congratulating Elizabeth Moylan as the 6th grade student. The 7th grade Student of the Month for December is Addison Tooper. Addison's teacher stated the following: the 7th grade team would like to nominate Addison for Student of the Month. Addison is simply awesome. She always participates and continuously advocates for herself, asking questions to ensure that she's completing assignments correctly. Having the ability to set goals is an important lesson in life, and Addison has come into the 7th grade year with aspirations of excelling academically and made this known to all of her teachers. She works extremely hard and strives to meet this goal daily as she encounters new content and different challenges. In addition to her academic prowess, Addison's personality brings a positive vibe to any classroom and anyone who she comes in contact with a smile so bright that it can be seen even through a mask. Addison is a wonderful addition to any classroom and has helped bring positivity to her peers and teachers during a very turbulent time. Please join me in congratulating Addison Tooper as a 7th grade student. seventh grade student for the month of January is Anthony Brown. Anthony's teacher stated the following: Anthony is a remote learner who has thrived during this difficult school year. He attends every Google Meet for all his subjects. Not only is Anthony capable of doing his work independently, but he offers assistance to others and works with classmates during breakout sessions. He speaks his mind and speaks with confidence, and it is a pleasure to have him on Google Meets. This young man treats his classmates and teachers with the utmost respect and models good character. He is concerned about the details of his work and completing all of his assignments with diligence and accuracy. Anthony is a young man of character, presence, and great academic ability, and we look forward to seeing his successes in the future. Please join me in congratulating Anthony Brown. The 8th grade student of the month for December is Kira Lewis. Tonight I am going to share a statement from Kira's teachers that speaks to why she is earning this recognition. The 8th grade team is pleased to announce Kira Lewis as the student of the month. Kira has displayed great responsibility. She is always cheerful, even during these difficult times. Kira constantly submits work with effort, is kind to others, and is able to maintain a positive relationship with all of her students and her teachers. Kira has an outstanding career at SMS and epitomizes consistency. Whether it is her grades, her attitude, her determination, or her caring, Kira has made a positive impact on others with her consistency. The middle school years can be a challenging time, and when you add a pandemic into the mix, it can become even more so. Kira's consistency is based on core values and a set of standards that she has for herself. Fortunately for us, these consistent values have had a positive impact on everyone around her. As we say goodbye to Kira at the end of this year, it is clear to me why she has been so successful, and we wish her nothing but the best in the future. More importantly, thank you, Kira. Thank you for being such a great influence on our SMS community, and thank you for the positive impact that you have. Please join me in congratulating Kira as 8th grade. The 8th grade student of the month for January is Dylan Stone. Dylan's teacher stated the following: Dylan has exceeded expectations this year with his work ethic and quality of his work across all subject areas. Dylan is also very friendly and sociable, always participating in class and asking questions when he feels that they are needed. He has never missed a class in person or virtually and continues to be a great example to all of the students around him and all of his hard work and responsibility. I am proud to stand here before you tonight to introduce and recognize this fine young man. Dylan has had an outstanding career here at SMS, and we are so excited to see all that he will achieve in the future. His work ethic has helped to establish a sense of confidence that can be seen in many aspects of his life. His character has established him as a role model for his peers and someone to call a friend in times of need. And his intelligence has led to him being able to achieve great academic success across all areas. As we say goodbye to Dylan at the end of the year, we wish him nothing but the best in the future. And thank you, Dylan, for making a lasting impression here at SMS. You will certainly be missed by all. Please join me in congratulating Dylan to the great season.
Thank you for sure. Congratulations to all the recipients and their families. We always encourage folks to stay with us for the duration of the meeting. You're more than welcome to do that. If you didn't want to, now is kind of the opportune time to depart. We'll take a brief intermission this evening. Once again, thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. Very kind words. It was good for him.
And the next case for our meeting on Monday is regular introduce our. I can't pronounce it.
At this time, I'd like to introduce Ms. Heidi Ball of Ms. Sebastian and company. She's here to give the annual report for the school year 2019-2020. Thank you very much for having me. So this is a part of the class of students. Continue to provide all the organizations and take all a copy of our PPA financial summary. Please don't hesitate to ask questions as we go along. So on the first page, we have at the top, we have the general fund, which is going on in the funding district with the bulk of the instructional and administrative, transportation expenses, capital, maintenance expenses are reported. So the general fund budget is funded by the local, state, and federal. The local revenues for the tax levy. The final budget is $15.9 million, actual $16.096 million, in excess of a little less than $886,000, and that excess is due to an excess of tuition revenue of $51,000, miscellaneous revenue of approximately $118,000, and $16,000 in transportation fees. The general fund budget is also supported by state revenue or state aid. The final budget being $7.046 million, actual $7.656 million, an excess of $609,000, and an excess of extraordinary special education cost base of approximately $583,000, non-public transportation aid of $9,000, and homeless tuition reimbursement of $17,000. And then finally, a portion of the revenue is funded by the federal
At this time, we will move on to audience remarks. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry. So just kind of give the community an update on some of the more pressing issues in the district. We sent out some notifications covering some of these, but I just want to review them a little bit more. Topic that's on everybody's mind is expansion of in-person instruction. You have schools in the area trying to transition to that. So I think, looking at all the information that's out, our district is poised to move into that direction. That's where you get the information from, we look at having for our pandemic team meeting next week. That's kind of where after that you get some more concrete information about what that looks like. What we committed to from the beginning of starting school this year to, again, phasing in an expansion of this is to kind of move a little slower, cautiously, take guidance from the DOH. So one of the challenges you have right at this moment is we're still in what's called orange. So the categories are green, yellow, orange, red. Red, their recommendation is you shouldn't have school at all. Orange, you should consider it open instruction. Yellow, we've been in yellow, operated in yellow. Yellow is a very, in my opinion, doable scenario for us. So if you choose to, so to speak, disregard that recommendation to not mix cohorts and things like that. In orange, in my opinion, you have to have measures in place that will mitigate that. So the best thing we can do is wait until the numbers continue to trickle down a little bit more. So what's happened is you kind of just came off the plateau, in my opinion, from the holidays, and now it's beginning to trickle down. Every Thursday, it's on our website, different links you can click on, but every Thursday generally in the late afternoon, we get a report from the Department of Health that tells us our standing. And over the past 2 reports, it has begun to trickle down in most categories. I know there's some confusion. There's multiple websites that people look at for this kind of information. There's another very reputable site, COVID Act Now in New Jersey. And that often shows us, quote unquote, in red. The only thing I need the world to understand is that's a different metrics than the one they're using for the DOH. So we follow the DOH measure. We look at the COVID Act Now because it's got some very meaningful information in particular infection rates. Some of the challenges that we have bringing back multiple groups of kids is I think if you're a district who's trying to move to that right now, or you started school going more frequently, every day, 4 days a week, something like that, your cohort group sizes are probably pretty small, so combining them isn't so much of a hardship, or your student population is kind of small, so maybe you were able to have all the kids in the school building at that time. So our prediction is that our cohort sizes are going to be pretty large if we're merging. So we should have measures in place that will help mitigate that. Now the DOH says measures that will mitigate that, whether it's masks, additional barriers in the classroom, those kinds of things. There's been 2 newer developments, very recent, that I think kind of favor or put us in a better position. One is, you'll be hearing on the news a lot, at least I am, the CDC is coming out with I don't know necessarily if it's the opinion of the CDC or they're just one of the authors of a research study is part of the CDC, so they're endorsing this research that came out on JAMA, Journal of the American Medical Association, which basically says that schools can be saved from in-person instruction so long as those mitigation measures are in place. Now, some of the research there is, in my opinion, when I look at the political landscape, what's happening in places like Chicago, more close to home, Montclair, New Jersey, is I think some of that research is pointing directly to school districts who've never had in-person instruction. They still have language in there like hybrid instruction and things like that. But there are positive indicators, in my opinion, that would demonstrate that schools are not necessarily the epicenters of outbreaks. Outbreak, a little bit of a scary word, but everybody should know in New Jersey, outbreak means more than one, so it can't be 2, which hopefully lessens the perception of that. One thing that was kind of disconcerting was that the position we take, we want to try to prioritize bringing in the cohorts. I know there's a lot of concern about extracurricular to try to make school life as notable as possible. This research study said that things like indoor sports probably not the most advisable thing. So part of that pandemic process is going to be to talk about how to phase those in. So a survey come out about initiating with half days. We talked more at the beginning of the year about that kind of process, namely because providing lunch in school required kids to take off their masks. So that was an area of concern for everybody. That's why we started off with those half a days. So that would be something we revert back to. I would hope after that meeting, shortly thereafter, more concrete information will come out, just so everybody has an understanding of what to prepare for, what to expect. I know dates are probably at the forefront of your mind, and I understand that for planning purposes and just knowing when. You know, we've kind of focused more on the health activity metrics of what's happening with COVID in the area, so the date becomes kind of arbitrary. But I think, in my best assessment, is that we are approaching that largely because those numbers are trickling down. Another important development, COVID-compatible symptoms. So the onset when we were in yellow, we started school. The practice was you had somebody with a positive COVID result. You did what's called contact tracing. You saw who was within 6 feet for 10 or more minutes. Those were the students with staff members that you had to put out on quarantine. Changed as we got into orange and more significant COVID levels to where we talked about how hard it was going to be to operate because we had to not just COVID positive people, but people with COVID compatible symptoms. I'm sure you've seen the list of COVID compatible symptoms. I mean, it's basically everything from nauseousness to fever to headaches, stuffy noses, those kinds of things. So then it became anybody with those kinds of symptoms, we have to contact trace all those people. And that just has the ability to cripple your operation. And we said, I said in these meetings before, it wasn't always just COVID. Obviously nobody wants anyone to get sick, but it wasn't necessarily the COVID that was compromising us, or will continue to compromise us. It's the operations that surround it, in particular the quarantining guidelines. Now those are developed for everyone's safety by departments of health, but they impact how you operate. So, the update that came out very recently from the DOH, the most current document they had, whatever research they look at, whatever scenarios they look at, is that we no longer have to contact trace COVID-compatible symptoms. So in my opinion, based on the information that we see locally, very few, if any, of the individuals that we put out with COVID-compatible symptoms ever manifested to be COVID. So I don't know if that's something that they look at when they make decisions like that, or there was some other conversations that are, a level above ours, but that's the determination they made at this point. Just to clarify, we had some heating issues that caused us to go remote Monday. I know that's got to be a little confession for folks. What you don't, so our school had a motor go down, had to be replaced. There are some redundant systems there because this motor went down, created some sort of air pocket, and the other motor had to be flushed out, had to be inspected, the whole thing. Our heating system's governed by a centralized computer, so when we're making those decisions very early in the morning, we're looking at the scenario to see what's in the best interest of the school. It's always come to school, but created a dichotomy of put one school out and keep the other two schools in. In the past, that created a huge problem for us because you would have to extend your transpiration route because the data needed to make up. So now we have a little bit more flexibility. You can offer virtual instruction. Another factor that the community doesn't see, and I didn't clarify in there, that was kind of like the icing on the cake that morning. We had another behind that 20 or so employees who were absent, uncovered, largely due to COVID-compatible guidelines that subsequently been eased. So that all played in that decision. To update people on NJSLA, formerly called PARC, computer-based assessment. As of right now, the information we received from the state is that we should anticipate that this is still in effect and we'll be doing that this year. There's a connection between federal government and funding, so I don't know if that will evolve with the new administration in the White House, but something to keep your eye on. School pictures, it was always our intent to have school pictures. I'd seen some of my own kids' school pictures at the onset of the school year, and it was like, I don't know what kind of lens they used, but, the kids were very far away, and it didn't look great, so we tried to put those off a little bit, try to balance the timing of the yearbook and things like that. So Lawrence School, March 15th and 16th, Lawrence School, March 18th and 19th, Sussex Middle School, March 22nd, 23rd, virtual students, we got a date for them, March 17th and 24th, 9 to 12, at the Lawrence School, comfortable saying that I project that we would, then we may not necessitate those double booking days. Graduations and proms, I'm going to put proms to our dances at the middle school. The best information I have at this juncture is on Friday. Every Friday, county superintendents get together with the county Department of Education and the Department of Health. And we debrief a lot of different things. They give us updates. So they gave us updates on graduation and prom. What they said that is right now, the Department of Education just started to debrief what guidelines that they would give out for those scenarios. So they just started planning that. We'll wait to see what that looks like. I don't know, prom's not really my thing. The dances, if I had to suggest, just brainstorming which one, if one was more likely than the other, I'd say based on the information we had last year, graduation in person seemed very doable, even if you had to do something like social distancing, outside, those kinds of things. The prom, I really don't know what information they'll come up with, but that would kind of translate to things like our dances. One of the best ideas I have about that is maybe they will come out, it's hard to project several months down the road, so maybe they will come out with guidelines that are per each category. So if we were red, don't have a prom or graduation in person. If we were orange, do this. If we were yellow, do that, and so on. So as more information becomes available with that, I'll let you know. Policy committee met briefly before the board meeting to review a few items, one of which is expanded access to the district attorney. So that's on the agenda for the Board of Education consideration, and that will be specifically expanding their set of people in the district who can contact the district attorney, namely myself, the president, Mrs. Riker, the business administrator, certain circumstances, director of special services, and the board is considering expanding that to the vice president, whoever may occupy the seat at that time. Buildings and grounds, just to give you a little bit of update, we talked about previously. I don't have any update on the Warren School well system as of tonight, but we hope to put something out in the near future about when that project will get started. For those of you who don't know, the overall water system at the Warren School. Nothing wrong with the water system, but we had some schools in the area recently who had some challenges with the water infrastructure because it's underground. Although our system meets all those codes and regulations, we want to bring it above ground and put it in a garage-type structure with hopefully some sort of backup power generation. For those of you who may remember, years prior we were running into some problems with the water. When the power would go out, we would have our water, rightfully so, retested for bacteria and things like that, and that became a constant cycle every time the power went out. So we want to have some backup power generation, try to minimize or eliminate that possibility. Out front in Sussex Middle School, the proposed project that we're going to go out to bid on Friday the 19th, we expect it to start in the summer, is creating an ADA compliant ramp from, basically like the driveway area down to near the basketball area, baseball field area. They've never had really an official kind of access point there for ADA compliance, something used by all kids, but the designs came through, and again, we'll be going out to bid. We'll keep you posted on that. At this juncture, that's all I have.
I used to just track down the grass all there.
You did?
Yeah. Thank you. At this time, we'll move on to audience remarks. Members of the audience are invited to make brief comments about items on this agenda and matters of interest to the district. Are there any audience remarks?
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry, right there? If you would come to the podium, sir, yeah. Just state your name, please.
Hello, my name is Dad. Mr. God, are you happy with where your schools are standing right now? Are you satisfied? Are you proud to say your job to people in this room and in this town?
Yeah, I think I work with an extraordinary group of people who've done about as good a job as they
It's a
can.
yes or a no?
Sir, I'm going to ask that you please let him answer the question.
Yes. So when we're fully remote, teacher has the flexibility to work remotely as well. There's a reason for that. We've debated back and forth about whether we would require people to come on campus or not. So the reason why we didn't move in that direction was what we were finding were, even though we're volunteer, we have a small number of people on campus for those remote days, right? Well, we were experiencing that people would still be coming COVID positive and being on our campus. So what that was compromising was, so say we go remote for 2 weeks, we have a small number of people on our campus, they start testing positive for COVID, then we're potentially limiting our reopening. So it became less feasible to do
But
that.
if you're in person, where is the teacher supposed to be?
If the students are in person
If
on
the
campus,
students are in person, where are the teachers supposed to be?
it depends on the scenario. So 90% of the time, the bulk argument's teacher would be on campus, right? We have some isolated scenarios where a teacher, through no fault of their own, has to quarantine. So now the district's in a position to make an assessment of, we have to get coverage for that room. Generally, it's going to be either other people from the building who aren't necessarily certified in that topic, or substitutes, right? So they're not going to be capable of teaching the remote students and the in-person students in the content area specifically.
So it's okay for them to just stay home?
In some instances, it's not okay for you to just stay home and work from home.
Yeah, I mean, you see her children, her dogs all around.
Those circumstances are only for when somebody's placed in quarantine through, largely no fault of their own.
Okay. Because it just seems like as far as my children can actually go to school once, I feel like they've been to school 5 times in their year.
Yeah.
And they need teachers. My daughter needs a teacher. Like, I can't do it. I work full time. I cannot do it. And also, maybe broad spectrum, like, can we record the meets? So when I get home from work, I can do it with her, because she's not doing it during the day. They're little kids. They're not doing it. So is there a way we can record these meets that we can, so I can do it when I get home from work?
Yeah, I can look at your case specifically. We can follow up with you.
Yeah, I mean,
I
there's
mean,
a lot
listen.
of teachers that are working with me, but I'm just saying,
Yeah.
my daughter's not the only one who's suffering.
Hey, listen, to the question about pride in the position. I'll acknowledge that virtual learning is a poor substitute under the best of circumstances for learning. It's the best of a bad situation. The best scenario is we convert them, you can come back to school. Try and improve virtual learning. We went through that phase, and now we're more focused on getting everything back.
But why can't other towns, even across the river, they're closed by these people, right? Lafayette. So you're telling me that they're only going to get that here if they go 5 days a week full time, but not in the next town over, not in Pennsylvania, not in
Yeah, listen.
Why? I want to know why people go 2 days a week. Why are they going 2 days a week?
Yeah, I can't elaborate on Pennsylvania and places that I have worked. I have some understanding of Lafayette. I refer you to them for any commentary on it. What I said before about mixing cohorts kind of applies there. In some situations, your cohorts may be so small that bringing them back in together isn't really a big deal. You can socially distance, right? So if I got 2 kids in this cohort, I got 6 kids in that cohort, the rest of them are all remote, I can have 8 kids in a cohort, in a class every day. So some school districts at the onset of the school year said to themselves, well, we have a facility that's quite large. Maybe we're designed to be Park Middle School, where we have a giant multi-purpose room, a giant auditorium, a giant music room, and our population has shrunk 50% over the past 10 years. And we can make a determination that if we can have small cohorts within our facility, so that's probably
But didn't they go from like 6 fourth grade classes to 5 fourth grade classes, or they're in classrooms? I mean,
in our school.
yeah, didn't they used to have more classes because the classes got bigger?
Yeah, so when I started with the district, you had what was called a bubble moving through. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that the numbers are smaller, but at that time it wasn't that the numbers are so dramatically smaller. It's more like that bubble was huge and you were bursting at the seams. So that became more comfortable. We also have, again, I don't want to pick one district against the other, but we have, a significant population of special education students that have specific IEP requirements. So another school district who might not have that population, no fault of anyone, it's just the reality of we may need more rooms dedicated to those kinds of programs, which are often, pull-out space, or, self-contained spaces and stuff. So there, you're not going to walk through the Wantage school or the large school and see a wing that's empty. That just doesn't.
And my other question is, my daughter from Banning Park, and when I talk to the other teacher, they're like, well, there are days Wednesday. Well, no kids are going to school on Wednesday, so why are they not getting the same education and same specials that Cohort A is getting and Cohort B? Why are they not all getting the same?
So when we originally designed the process, right, you can't recreate a perfect scenario for a hybrid situation. So you had to make judgments about trying to keep your schedule consistent. So at a point you would flip back into in-person instruction. And some of those things that were sacrificed for some consistency in our special subject areas weren't being, the focus was language arts, math,
Right,
science.
so why is there
More so.
rotating or something like, why do they not get any art instruction on Wednesday? Well, that's not really, like, they're not in school, I know kids are in school on Wednesday, so why is it just for a class? You know what I mean, like, why can't we?
Yeah, I can look at your specific situation, see if I can, is there
I'm
something we
not
can do?
trying to the situation, I'm sure there's a lot of kids.
Yeah, Wednesdays, you got one, right?
It's not ideal for any child, but I wanted to know why I wasn't getting the same. Some kids might get art, some kids might not, or music, or technology. Like, I don't get why only certain students are getting certain special. And I'm sure my kids are getting other ones that other ones aren't getting. So, why is it not just, I know there's only one art teacher, but why can't we rotate it? Like, I'm not getting any of it. None of it makes sense.
Yeah.
So,
I'm also sorry you're coming in now. We'll love to talk to you in September.
Thank you.
Now, you can't miss that.
So I've been waiting for this time for 6 years. And us, 4 months go by, 1, 2, 3. I'll just start out being a taxpayer. I'd like to get an update with regards to the 75 employees that filed for unemployment that I'm sure some of them deserved it or needed it or qualified for it. But as a taxpayer and not being on the board, not needing to worry about people signing something, I'd like to know where we stand. And the other thing that I'd like to know, let's see, what did I say? I can't imagine how 75 people could apply for unemployment, and union members that represent the union don't know about it. And that's fine if they don't, but I'm going to expect an investigation, and if there is any indication that people knew about it and then alerted the school to the taxpayers being abused, I have a problem with it. So I will be at every meeting until we get an answer, until we get a resolution, because think of $130,000, what we need to do to save $130,000 in order to keep teachers, and we have certain people maybe taking advantage of the situation. I have a huge problem with it. Another thing, again, I've sat with you guys for years on the radio, and it was really nice not having to come to the board meeting last week, or last month. And I'm sure when I was there were some crappy times, but what bothered me most listening to the meeting last week was board members, even the ones that I get along with, having an issue about changing the meeting date for a new member. Now, I don't even know which is the new member. I don't know, are you the member that's in for members? That's not you? Okay. Well, I'm shocked that board members that just are like about the community coming to the board to say, how can I do it? How can we make it work? And then having board members recommend they resign. So I'm glad I'm going to have a meeting. It's pretty liberating being able to be up here. Trying to think what else, please. You ever want to know? I have notes on your comment.
Mr. Nelson, if I can just interject, the multi-step parts of your question are going to be tough for me, so.
That's fine.
All right. So with respect to Mr. Nelson's first comment about unemployment, for those of you who may not be in the loop on it, so the Board of Education received bills from the New Jersey Department of Labor, Division of Unemployment, right? In the amount of approximately $134,000 for current and former employees. So close to people in it. In reviewing those claims, largely out of Mrs. Riker's office was responsible for overseeing that kind of thing. We questioned if the benefits had been awarded to ineligible individuals. So since July, we've been notifying Division of Labor, Division of Unemployment, about those circumstances and asking that, giving them the information, we have the opportunity to kind of submit rebuttals. We give them that information so they can be more fully assessed. As of now, unfortunately, we haven't heard back. So, so everybody can understand, like, it's not the district or the board who gets to dictate who gets unemployment benefits. That's an assessment division of unemployment. I suspect, I don't work there, I suspect that due to the pandemic, the magnitude of unemployment claims that probably existed from that, unfortunately, that they're probably overwhelmed. And we just haven't heard from them. The calendar, I don't know if I'm in a position to really resolve or comment about everybody's individual perspective on that. I'm going to leave that up to them. But on the agenda tonight, it is part of the calendar dates that potentially be changed for their consideration. So we'll see how that goes.
The other thing, I guess it was something on the verge, but I got complaints about Tuesday, Saturday, and people thought that, well, first of all, I don't think anything should have been called. I think it should have been in school.
Just so you know, I continue to refer all complaints to you.
I'm sure you did. So the complaints that I was getting were that these kids are not in school, and why are they going to school at night when the total expected snow accumulation was anywhere from 1 to 3 inches. Now the other side of that is I thought or suggested that if it was a true snow day, 6 to 9 inches or whatever, I was for having kids to have a true snow day. So I had multiple complaints that nobody understood what was going on. There was no snow in the afternoon, but I didn't just have kids in school. So I always think now with COVID here, you guys on the board, these reasons, or all with them, you have to think that these kids aren't in school to begin with. So taking a chance, we could have it over the semester. But there's very limited time that these kids are in school.
Yeah, so you bring up some good points. The snow day, the traditional snow day, I'll field first. I think as you know, I'm fully supportive of traditional snow days. We talked about the hot cocoa and snowball fights and all that kind of thing. For this particular inclement weather event, it didn't appear like that was going to be the case. So if we did a snow day, we would have to make it up at the end of the year, and we never took advantage of the virtual circumstance. What could potentially happen is that you run out of your snow days, then we start pulling from spring break, right? And you had access to a virtual instruction day where you wouldn't have had to do that. So we're trying to judge the components of that weather event to make that the best situation possible to have that one.
Well, I hope that's it, and I hope it's not teachers not wanting to come in.
So I'll clarify for you now. I have spoken to no teacher about inclement weather, certainly not that day. And trickier than others is because you're right, it wasn't projecting snow, it was projecting sleet, rain, and then the time frame in which it was projected was kind of shifting around. Mainly we used NOAA, which is among the most reputable sites. It was shifting around, so you knew at the onset that the late opening wasn't going to help you. The next thing was with the early dismissal, like you suggested, help you. That would have been the best option you had if you were going to have school. The timing of it was going to impact you. You think most then, you're trying to make that prediction. So short of having school, if you make the determination to not have school, I think the next best thing you can do is tell people as soon as possible. That accounts for the evening call. What we were seeing was that I was on the roads, 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock, which would have been the dismissal time, it was icy. And I got an image of a car over on Libertyville and Low down in the ravine. Could that have been a bus? We hope not. The other thing I'll tell you to try to give you a greater degree of comfort in that teacher piece is that subsequent to the evening call from us, I think you see a significant portion of school districts in our area, if not our immediate region, taking the same action. So to say that, we were all in cahoots with teachers when
I wasn't saying that. I'm just,
I think it speaks to the idea of, correct me if I'm wrong, teachers want to be in school, you now want to be in school. When you have a labor organization, obviously when a labor organization speaks, and I don't speak on every behalf, they have one voice, right? But I don't think you can group teachers and employees. Other than that, they all have their own different perceptions about whether you be in school for COVID, not in school.
well, but one speaks for the union, that one speaks for everyone. So, can't leave that one.
Yeah, I can tell you could almost make a scatter plot with different perspectives that teachers have. They're human like everything else.
I'm going to cut it short. I probably have more for the next session. But I do expect an investigation, and I will be following through. And if there was anybody aware that this was going on and it wasn't brought to the school's attention, I want that legally and ethically addressed.
Thank you, Mr. Nelson.
Thank you all for your comments.
Sussex-Wantage, I think we all know that. I'm sure most of you think that, I'm here to bash the teachers, which I'm not. I'm here to advocate for my kid. I feel that in the last year, my son has filed for nothing proactive has been done to help my son, which leads me to believe that most of the other children that have filed courts were not even given any accommodations during last year. I dealt with it. I tried to help him. I work, my husband works. He's a 12-year-old boy with a 504 that needs to be in school. He cannot focus by himself. He cannot sit in front of a computer screen all day long. He can't teach himself. I can't teach him. My husband can't teach him. He has accommodations when he's in school. Yes, they're not serious accommodations. It's nothing major, but the difference of him being in school and being home is major for a kid like Brody. And him being at home for this last year has become extremely frustrating. He's had a lot of meltdowns, a lot of tears, and quite honestly, we were at our breaking point. And I emailed you, Mr. Wall, I emailed, the principal, vice principal, middle school, and I had to say everybody was very attentive to me when I did email them. But why should I have to wait an entire year of my kid being stuck at home in front of a computer to beg for accommodations for my son, who's obviously suffering? He's missing tons of assignments. His grades are not what they used to be. He was recommended for the National Honor Society last year, and he can't keep his grades up this year. He's miserable. Nobody said, hey, this kid has issues. He's overflowing with work. Let's just email his mom and tell her that and this is not any specific teacher. It's a policy across, I think, the entire country. There's memes on Facebook that say, my kid is busy at work. I'm getting an email from my teacher. It's a problem, I get it. It's a problem for a lot of kids, not just kids that have focusing issues, not just kids that have 504s, not kids that have IEPs. I don't even know what those kids are dealing with. But it's an issue, and it just doesn't work. You can't just send parents an email and say, your kid is missing work. I don't care whether your kid has needs, doesn't have needs, is
regular run-of-the-mill kid, it's not the way to go. Telling parents to go check the parent portal for the missing work is not going to help a kid. It's certainly not going to help a kid that has focusing issues that cannot keep up during the day by himself. I should have not had to wait an entire year till I was ready to blow my cork to contact the school to have them say, okay, let's make some accommodations for Brody now. There's a million other kids like this. There's a ton in this district. I know for a fact there's a lot of other kids. The district should have been so much more proactive. I don't even know, I'm not pointing fingers at anybody because I don't even know whose fault it is. I feel like it's a lot of people's fault. The whole district should have come together and said, there's a whole group of kids that cannot be doing this at home. What are we doing to help them? And, I hope the Brodies can get on track now. I feel like we made some headway, but I feel like maybe if there's some other parents that are in the room that feel completely frustrated, speak out, contact the school, let them know that your kid needs the help, because if your kid has a 504, they have to help your kid, okay? And even if your kid doesn't have a 504, your kid's falling behind, and your kid's just getting emails to catch up and they need help, you need to contact the school, you need to let them know. Because these kids, a regular kid that flourishes in school as it is having a hard time sitting home right now. I don't know how we're going to catch those kids up, and I don't know how the heck Brody is ever going to catch up, because that kid has not learned an iota this year. Nothing. He sits in front of that screen politely. Every kid has their cell phone next to them, they have a book, they have a bike in the driveway, they can go get a snack, go to the bathroom, do whatever they want. It's a joke. These kids are sitting there on the couch in blankets. There's no enthusiasm whatsoever. It's a year now. It's out of control. So when you hear the parents screaming and yelling all over Facebook about how they want to get back to school, all it takes is one teacher to say they want to go back, and yes, we do want to jump all over that and say, you out of your mind? My kid is losing it at home. We're sick and tired of it. We can't be teachers. We can't do this. So I understand that there are teachers out there that are going above and beyond. My kid has some of those teachers. You know what I'm saying? But there are teachers who blast it out there and they send out movies. They don't want to go back. There's excuses as to why they don't want to go back. And when parents hear that, it drives us out of our minds. Our kids need to be back in school, period. So, I mean, this is just, honestly, it's a venting session for me. I know that I got some response back from the school, but I'm here to make sure that you guys know I'll be back here every single meeting until I feel my kid is caught up. And I hope everybody else does the same, because everybody's screaming down on Facebook about how they hate their kid being home and how their kid is so far behind. And I'm the only one that got up here and said anything besides that one over there. But I can tell you right now, I'm speaking for hundreds of parents that are frustrated with this. And the kids that have to need special accommodations are suffering more than anybody, and I really hope the district comes up with a plan for them as a whole, not just my Brody, for all of these kids, because I know he's not the only one sitting home behind the computer screen suffering by himself.
Are there any other public comments for this session? All right, seeing none, we will move on to the board secretary certification.
Pursuant to NJAC 6A23A 16.10C3, I certify that as of December 31st, 2020, no line in account has encompasses the expenditure which will exceed the line in appropriation in violation of NJAC 6A23A 16.10.
Thank you. And we will look for the approval of board minutes for January 6th, 2021, the annual reorganization, regular session, and executive session. Looking for a motion, please.
I'll motion.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you. Looking for a second?
Vote.
Thank you. Any discussion? Roll call.
Mrs. Craig?
Yes.
Mrs. Randall?
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper Trinidad? Yes. Mr. Juliano?
Yes.
Mrs. Steele?
Yes.
Mrs. Saul?
Yes.
Mrs. Reed?
Yes.
Mr. D'Agostino?
Yes.
Mr. Arturo?
All right, we have no need for executive session on agenda items, so we will move on to the presentation of agenda items.
Thank you. On personnel, we move items 1 through 11.
Mrs. Craig, did you second? Mrs. Steele.
items 1 through 3.
Looking for a motion on policy.
Is there discussion?
Is there
Motion first.
a motion? We have a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. Looking for a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Discussion on policy.
With respect to the president and I'm in board member Courtney, at last month's board meeting, it was clearly requested that we change the board of ed meeting date to accommodate the schedule of a new member as she was previously not aware that she would have an amazing opportunity to attend Paramount School, which she has accepted, but unfortunately lands on Wednesday nights for the next 2 years. After the meeting, I brought my concerns to some board members, including our president, and I'm disappointed to see that this is still on the agenda. There's just a few points I'd like to point out. Sussex-Wantage Board of Education meetings have been on Wednesday nights for more than the last 10 years. Especially during this time of the pandemic, I do feel our meetings have become even more critical and need to continue to be consistent on Wednesday nights as a community district. I also feel if our community had known that there was an option to changing board meeting days to accommodate their schedules, other people may be interested in running for a seat on the board to volunteer their time for our district also. The facts are, I'm not really sure who chose the dates that are listed, but to the best of my knowledge, 3 out of the 5 of the new dates being voted on conflict with Wantage Township committee meetings. I feel, as we all should, it is the board's responsibility to avoid as much as possible any conflict in our community. Changing our board night dates would be causing conflict with people within our community who would like to be fiscally responsible and knowledgeable in what occurs at both meetings without having to choose between which one to attend, especially during our upcoming budget season. In conclusion, if the board approves this change, I strongly feel that we will be doing a disservice to those who may have done, and we will have also created a direct conflict with the Wantage Township community.
Thank you, Mrs. Whitty. Is there any other discussion on policy 1 through 3? All right, seeing none, roll call please.
Mrs. Whitty? No. For number 2, policy 1 and 3, yes.
Mrs. Craig?
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper-Sissonet? Yes. Mrs. Juliana?
Yes.
Mrs. Randall?
Yes.
Mrs. Steele?
Yes.
Mrs. Saul?
No, because we changed for 1, we may have others come in the future and have to change it again. And it's not short term, it's long term. 2 years is a long time.
So,
Are you saying no to all 3 or?
No, just to 2.
Okay, so yes for 1 and 3?
Yes. Sorry about that.
That's okay. Mrs. Randall?
yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Under finance, I would move items 1 through 10.
Looking for a motion on finance, please.
I'll motion.
Thank you. Looking for a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion on finance? All right, seeing none, roll call please.
Mrs. Randall?
Yes.
Mrs. Saul?
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper-Sissonet? Yes to all, abstain on 2. Mrs. Craig?
Yes.
Mrs. Juliana?
Yes.
Mrs. Steele?
Yes.
Mrs. Whitty?
Yes.
Mrs. D'Agostino?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Under special services, I'd like to move items 1 and 2.
Looking for a motion?
I'll motion.
Thank you. Looking for a second?
I'll second.
So, any discussion on special services? Any discussion? All right, roll call please.
Mrs. Steele?
Yes.
Mrs. Saul?
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper-Sissonet?
Yes.
Mrs. Craig?
turn to the agenda under personnel, item number 1.
We're looking for a motion on agenda and personnel.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Mrs. Whitty. Looking for a second.
Also.
Thank you, Mrs. Steele. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Whitty?
Yes.
Mrs. Steele?
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper Goodenow? Yes. Mrs. Craig?
Yes.
Mr. Juliano?
Yes.
Ms. Van Zandt?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoll?
Yes.
Mr. D'Agostino?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Under policy on the agenda, I would move item number 1, noting that the modification to policy 0174, legal services, is the addition of the vice president being contact the board attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Gall. Looking for a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. Looking for a second. Thank you. Any discussion on policy on the agenda? All right, roll call, please.
Mrs. Whitty?
Yes.
Mrs. Steele?
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper Goodenow?
Yes.
Mrs. Craig?
Yes.
Mr. Juliano?
Yes.
Ms. Van Zandt?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoll?
Yes.
Mr. D'Agostino?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, at this time, we will move on to unfinished business. Does anyone on the board have any unfinished business to discuss? All right, seeing none, I just would like to thank the board for your flexibility with the schedule. You know, it's not the ideal situation, but you know, I'm sure that the school all parties is going to be happy to participate. I'd also like to thank Mrs. Cooper Trinidad for adjusting the work schedule to accommodate that going forward. I'd also like to just personally apologize to the board for the way last meeting went. You know, that was kind of I got the ball on that, so I was assuming that it would be all good, and there was valid questions that were asked. So I'm going to do a better job of reaching out to all of you, you know, about issues going forward, such as that. And also just like to point out that we're excited to serve another year with Mrs. Ramsey as the vice president, I was principal. And didn't get to really that much. But again, I think this is going to be a great year
back to what Mrs. Woody said, so if I missed a block, I apologize. Back to what Mrs. Woody said, I agree with that. You know, there's people out there that I've seen that have come to me and talked to me that they'd like to be at the meeting, that they feel that they're high risk, that in today's climate, that if there's a way that we can put the meeting out there, I think it's really important. I think it would help to get more information out there, and I think the more information we can get out, the more access people have to us, the better people might feel. You know, so again, unprecedented times, but you know, we used to videotape it and then put it up after, you know, a day or two later. But if there's a way, even if it's, you know, technologically hard to live stream it, you know, if we can work on that, but even then, if we have to videotape it and put it up, I think that's important. You know, so that way the information's getting out there, people can hear the conversations going on, people can hear what people are asking at the podium, people can hear the answers that the board is supplying. I just think that's important, so if we can take that into consideration and, you know, try to figure out a way, I think it would be all the better.
Thank you.
I mean, another alternative you might consider is, you know, just going virtual for your meetings.
Yeah, I know. I know that's an option. I kind of feel like, you know, if we could be here, if the kids could be here, you know. So that's where I know a lot of districts do that. But, you know, maybe not to be intrusive, but maybe we could even put a Chromebook right in the middle or something like a podium facing the board, so they could hear it better than the back of the room. I'm not sure if that would help with an extension.
I have to say, I'm hearing Mrs. Crick pretty well.
Yes, no, absolutely. I'm just saying for like a live stream, for a live stream, we could put like a live stream in the Chromebook, not in the back of the room, but closer, so that people watching it can hear. But I can hear Mrs. Craig fine.
I believe this meeting is actually going to be videotaped, it will be shown, right?
Yeah, it's going to be posted.
Right, so the only difference we're asking is that, you know, that it would be done live streaming. Right. Because when we had our first in-person back, there were a lot of people that safely thought that they would be able to watch it live and weren't aware that it was going to be videotaped. Otherwise, they may have came if they known that, you know. But, you know, like we talked about earlier, that making that, you know, just to, you know, not necessarily be hard to do because the quality again is going to be the same.
The same, you know.
Right.
Absolutely. No, thank you. That's a good discussion. Does anybody else have anything to add on the live streaming or any other new business? All right. Seeing none, we will move to audience remarks again. Members of the audience are invited to make brief comments on items on this agenda and matters of interest to the district.
I forgot, I have one more thing I'm going to say before, and I know someone has something on the board. But, before I get to that, we're going to sit and talk about spending money on meetings, when I just have my whole spiel here about how there's kids that are needing services that are okay. I really don't think that coming from a board member who's had the worst attendance in history on the computer over there is going to tell us how we can keep live streaming our board meetings and invest money in that. Maybe we should check the YouTube videos and see how many hits the board meetings actually get. And then maybe we should check those hit grades and all the missing assignments and see where we should be sinking our money. Anyway, that being said, I just wanted to know what the policy was as far as teachers and are they allowed to teach? I know there was spoke about teachers being allowed to teach from home, which I personally do not agree with. If you're I'm not sure if teaching at home, you can give your undivided attention to kids, but if you're going to be sitting at home with your little baby on your hip and taking your dogs for a walk and interrupting the kid's classroom, class time, that's unacceptable to me. And I know that's probably I'm sure the teachers that aren't doing that, that are going above and beyond, and are being responsible, I'm sure they try on that too, they won't say publicly. But I personally have a really big issue with paying for a substitute teacher because the teacher not go away and do something with their personal time. If they were exposed, they came to school, they had to quarantine because of the rules by the Department of Health, that's a totally different story. When you're going to put yourself in that situation, it's not our responsibility to pay for a substitute teacher.
Are there any other comments?
My name is Lisa Samara, and Ms. Gray was talking about the live streaming, and I'm currently doing it now because unfortunately, a lot of my friends couldn't make it tonight because of financially, they're stuck home with their kids, and their significant other is doing a regular shift because of this. I do have a friend that does have a question. If you don't mind, I'd like to ask on her behalf. If that's okay. Currently, we were given a survey of the parents, and she wants to ask if the survey was something they're going to do, why can't they do full days and keep lunches and rooms so the kids can be in school?
Yeah, so the lunch aspect of having it in school with the cohorts merging, it creates an environment where you have a large number of students potentially with their masks on. So that's what the challenge is. That was the challenge originally in our opening process. I think that's probably a challenge that you're seeing with larger schools that have unit lunches where everybody eats lunch at the same time. They're not converting to full days. It all has to do with taking your mask down.
Okay.
The next best mitigation measure would be, can you take your mask down and then socially distance? That's what we're going to be working towards, but that's, it's a hurdle.
Okay, because when I actually did do a survey, and when I saw that it's hot, that you guys are looking into having the cohorts merged together to 4 days, I kind of chuckled to myself because, again, like Gloria said, we can't even get through 2 days out of the week. But my biggest issue with my daughter doing virtual is the classes like gym, music. I can see that working in school, but virtually it's very difficult for my daughter to do. She does amazing with her first grade teacher, Mrs. Davis, which is a substitute, by the way, from day one. She's amazing. But my daughter can focus the whole time with Ms. Davis. But then when we have those extra virtual classes of gym, you're supposed to be physical in gym, but yet you're staring at a video. Music's great. But the whole time, the teacher's just reading a story. That's not music. I can sit in my house and read books to my daughter. That's not education to me, music class virtually.
think that the best course of action is to try to come back to school. Oh, you want, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mrs. Cole.
I think maybe what could be done, the days that they do attend school, do those activities. And instead of having, the word do those activities, those days that you're actually in.
It's destroying the kids. This is, parents, they're trying to get together, just have a normal day outside of school day, the restrictions. And that's all we talk about. It's the struggle of our kids, the struggle of what we have to go through. We're not getting paid to be teachers. So those extra classes, they're not only killing the kids, they're killing us because we got to deal with that. So what I'm saying is, maybe this if you guys can take that into consideration, like gym, music, stuff like that, this should be done in actual school. Virtual should be stuff that requires, writing down on a piece of paper. Because it's killing me mentally, it's killing my kid. My kid, again, she's turned into a mute, and it devastates me. And not only does it devastate me, it makes me angry, as we told my husband. So, I appreciate you saying, that's it.
Thank you so much for your comment.
Thank you.
Definitely. Any other comments? All right, if there are no other audience remarks, we have no need for an executive session on non-agenda items, so I will look for a motion to adjourn, please.
Make a motion.
Mrs. Sullivan for a second.